Hey guys, check this out. What an awesome Prado. I've got to tell you, I've just worked on this, driven this, and I'm impressed. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It's I haven't checked what year it is, sorry, but it's old. It's a 1K ZTE. I'd guess, look, it could be 03, I don't think so. It's more likely 04, 5 or 6. Sorry, I should have checked the year. Let's just run with it's an 05 for now. It's done 308,000 kilometres, okay? 308, so just over 300,000. What's it here for? It's here for a few things. We've done the injectors, glow plugs, timing belt, those sorts of things that are due at 300,000, and well, not necessarily injectors, but anyway. There's an issue with some squeaky noises clients asked me to have a look at, so I'm going to have a look and show you what I can see there. So a couple of things we can see here. He has been spraying some sort of lubricant on the bushes here because they're probably squeaking and carrying on. Why would that be? Now we've got a yellow product here. You can see the yellow, but I'm just going to take you over the other side. Actually, you'll be able to see enough from here. Actually, take a quick look. If you take a close look at the writing, well, I don't know if you can see it in that actually. I want you to see it. I don't want to have to say it. Let me try this side. Might be a bit cleaner. Oh, here we go. All right. Oh, I say nothing, right? You choose what brands of suspension you want to use and whatever. So, and up the top you can look at the bead. I don't know how old it is, but look, obviously he likes the standard height. He doesn't want to lift. He's replaced, probably, I'm just assuming here, but at some point he's replaced the struts. Obviously they're a bit messy and whatever, and the bushes are possibly, by the look of that grease, it's probably hanging off the rubber. I'm not going to touch it. It looks like a grotty mess. Looks like a bird dump or something that's hanging off that, doesn't it? That is, looks like a bit of a bird dump with a bird wee on top. Yeah, you can see the rubber hanging there. I'm not touching that. So those bushes are flogged. Now, I'm just going to quickly recap. This video is not about bushes. It's about how awesome is this 300k Prado. But on all these cheap brands of suspension, it's quite a common problem. And I'm not going to name all the brands. I'm just going to tell you, I would recommend you stick with suspension brands like manufacturers, like, you know, Monroe makes suspension, you know, where Tenneco owns Monroe and they make it for other brands as well, Rancho and all that sort of thing, right? So quality brands, Dobinson's, you know what I mean? Dobinson's is a suspension company. You can go for OME, ARB if you like. It doesn't bother me what you put in your vehicle, okay? I'm just trying to say, the original bushes up here on the struts, I see them at 300,000 and they're not chopped out. So the OE bushes are good. And the Dobinson's bushes are bloody awesome, along with a lot of other, you know, there's all pros and cons with every suspension, but the overall package, I like the Dobinson's. As you know, it's not about Dobinson's. I can just see up there, if you take a look, you can see that ABS line's not quite sitting in the clamp properly. Just notice that. This flap here is hanging down. That's what that rubbing mark on the strut there is. And we've done another video to explain here. It's a coilover. We're going to call it a strut because it's quick and easy. Right, everything else on this vehicle is awesome. We've been over it. I'm just going to quickly go over it. You know what? I'm going to just slowly. Let's start at the back and work our way from the front. I don't know why I feel better starting at the back. Maybe there's less problems at the back. So, you know, you got a fuel tank. Obviously, it goes. Look, I would suggest a lift kit to anyone. This is why, right? You can see the mud the tow bar's hitting. You can see the mud hitting the fuel tank. You know, scraping here. You know, your diff's going to be scraping a bit. The diff plug will get full there. Your fuel tank, see this fuel tank? This is one of the main reasons why you put a lift in your Prado. And again, at the front, right? This is the most, this video is not about what gets damaged the most and that you need a lift, but it's just sort of gone that way, hasn't it, right? So, I was looking at the original problem, and that's why I saw the mud, and that's what took me over there. Anyway, it needs brake pads, right? So it needs brake pads, big deal. It's got about 20% left, needs brake pads. It's got plenty of tyres, plenty of rubber there. Everything on the vehicle, other than needing some cleaning, at 308,000 Ks is in awesome condition. I've driven the vehicle, it drives really well for a 1KZ with a 4-speed auto. You know, just saying, considering it's an old car, I've got no issue with the 1KZs, I like them. I like the 1KDs better, you know, more efficiency, more power, more torque, quieter, smoother, better for emissions, lots of reasons to like them. But look at these bushes, right? So don't think because you saw one vehicle, I showed you a V6, I think, with no bush left, but that was mainly because of the exhaust that got smashed and went missing. But it can happen, and it happens more with more power. What I'm saying is 1KZ bushes, they're going to last forever. So there's positives and negatives. You got less power, but this thing, it goes all right. Don't you worry about that. So all the upper bushes that sometimes Don't think, because I said some cars need them changing or do them at these kilometres, don't think that all vehicles do. Okay, so no axle seals leaking. Original rear shock is looking in pretty good condition. I can tell you they're flogged as anything and need to be replaced. This thing needs suspension. There's no point being cheap on suspension. It's the safety triangle. You've got brakes, tyres and shockers. The brakes need to be done, the tyres need to be done, and the shockers is what keeps your wheels and tyres on the road, and so your brakes and tyres can work. The safety triangle, the three things. Springs, you can leave them if you like, but this needs shockers and struts as a minimum, and I would suggest a lift for those obvious reasons of that mud scraping there. Now let's move forward. As I said, all these bushes are good. We've checked there's no play in any of the bearings, so that's good. Looks like a bit of over-greasing at times and a lack of servicing at times, because there's a lot of excess grease when it does get greased. I'll suggest putting less in more often instead of seldom putting in, can't say that, short loads anyway, because you can see on the shaft there, it's kind of a bit shiny and looks like it's wearing, probably bouncing around a lot more because it's got the original soft springs. Where you firm it up, it reduces the movement down a little bit, so you're going to get less wear from up and down, bushes twisting and all that sort of thing. Look, no pinion seal leak at all. No, there's no leaks. 300,000 k car. I've mentioned this in other videos. How good are these? All these oil greasy stains you see, that's just a bit of over lubing. Look at this one, the transfer case virtually bone dry. You've got that tiny little bit at the join there. As I said before, we've seen that before. It can even be what's coming off the unis here and the drive shaft. What do you call it? The propeller shaft from the grease, right? And that mainly is probably what that one is. Coming forward, see no oil leaks, nothing here, nothing exciting to see. The exhaust is still, let's have a look at one of these exhausts again. Awesome condition, it's not rusty or falling off or broken. It's got the 4-speed auto, so it's got the dipstick on it. It's obviously had the pan off unnecessarily because that cork gasket's there. I could be wrong about that, but hadn't seen it. Whoop, nearly dropped it. Haven't seen many of these lately. So just having a look around together. We're just having a look around. Looking up here now, the 1KZs, they can have an oil leak, and usually it's not the valve cover gasket, because valve covers don't leak on these either, but the half moon on the back of the head can leak, and a few other things can leak, and it can put a lot of oil on the starter motor and cause some issues for the starter motor. In one video recently, someone said, oh, you didn't mention the starter motor. That's because we don't have problems. They're awesome starter motors. If you've got a problem with the starter motor, take it to a good auto or leak. He won't charge you much to rebuild it, clean it up, and maybe put some new contacts in it or whatever the case may be. Probably doesn't even need them. And like he did with mine, and he said, if that's done nearly 400,000, it's going to do another 400,000. I said, bingo, thank you very much. So unless you go and park it in bog holes, you're not going to have any issues with starter motors. These bushes are going to be typical. There you go, you can see the split on the left starting. It's just starting, it's about a third of the way through. It doesn't mean they need replacing yet. You can if you've got money. You've done 300,000, you're going to get another 300 is the way I look at it. But if you want to be tight, you can just wait a little bit. These ones are a little bit twisted, but yeah, not too bad. They're not damaged. They're in pretty good, same as here. See the splits on either side? That's just evidence that it's been twisted either way, and that's because of the lack of control here. The soft springs and the crappy struts or coilovers, whatever you want to call them. Up the front here, look at the radiator. Just because I showed you one that's got leaks, well, here's one that's 15 years old, right? And you can see there's a little bit of aircon oil, a bit of a sweat possibly at that O-ring on the condenser there possibly, but not an issue at this stage. Look at the radiator, guys. 15 years old, so they don't just all leak. Just because one does, don't think you need a new radiator. Well, I didn't mention radiators in that video, what to replace, that's because they stay clean as anything on the inside, and generally they don't leak. The only time people need to replace radiators is when they accidentally lean on that bit at the top there and snap it off. This one, we gave it a good test. It's not about to break, 15 years old. So it's certainly not that they're brittle, it's people leaning on them. Same story over here, guys. So this one's a good one. The rack's not leaking. You can see it's pretty clean there. We've shown you some other vehicles with that sweat on the rack. This one's good. So my point is, how awesome is this vehicle for 15 years old and nearly, it's 300 odd thousand Ks, 308 to be precise. I'm looking around looking for problems. Body mount bushes, they look pretty good. Again, nothing, If this was my vehicle, what would I do? I'd give it a damn good cleanup. I'd give it a lift kit so that I can stop hitting mud and things with this, which is going to in turn damage the bash plates. and I'd get someone different to change the oil, because that sump plug and that sump plug washer, absolutely disastrous looking. I'd probably replace the sump, get it back to original, because I just don't like aftermarket garbage like that. That's just garbage. Anyway, it could be a DIY job, it could be a dodgy mechanic, I don't know. It's all good to do your own thing, just do it right. That flap up there needs to be secure. There's a few clips missing. Not a big deal. I really can't find any work on this. I'm done, mate. And it's not, just don't think it's great because it's a 1KZ. It's a Toyota Prado. The 1KZs are good. The 1GRs are good. Everything's good. They're all good. The 1KDs, in my opinion, I like the best. That's probably why they're the most popular. And out of all the numbers, there's so many of them. Each to their own, which one you want. They've all serve a purpose. And this is a bada boom, bada bing. We're back to the back, and I'm out of breath, and my arm's getting sore. Hopefully you got something out. Please give us the thumbs up if you learnt something or you agree with me. How good are these Prados? Awesome, yeah? And please subscribe, turn the bell on. After I take a drink, we've got more videos coming your way. Thanks for watching. See ya.